Everyone, as always, I'm so thankful you were able to join us. We are thankful to have programming. We were thankful all the way through COVID, and we are able to have the free programming with presenters, whether it's hands-on workshops, in this case, financial advice, because of the foundations that have all that lovely grant money. The Fairfield Foundation and the Berkshire Taconic Community Foundation and the Feigenbaum Foundation, which is a local group, are giving all the funding for our after-school programs and all of that. I know that Kasha and Lynn will give us feedback if there are other workshops they're hoping that we will present, and there will be the post-event survey for you all to fill out to give us feedback and also Patrina feedback on the workshop. So I will now turn everything over to Patrina Dixon, who is ready for us to help us with our money.
Thank you so much, Jody. I am so happy to be here. I do have a presentation, so I am going to share my screen. I think when I do that, the spotlight will be on the presentation. And then once that's done, I will stop sharing and then answer any questions that you all may have. But know that this session is for you. So feel free to ask questions as I'm going along. You can do it via the chat because we will be monitoring the chat, or because we're a small, intimate group here, feel free to take your phone off mute and just ask the question. So with that, I'm going to share my screen. All right, do you all see my screen on that side?
Yes, I can see it, Patrina.
Perfect. So we'll jump right in. As Jody mentioned, this session, or she didn't, but this session is saving and budgeting. This whole three-part series is about your money. The name of my brand, it's my money. So that's what you see here as well as across my shirt, because it's in my trademark brand. I always represent it when I present, because part of money management and ownership is owning things, and I own It's My Money in a financial space. So I'm always excited to share that with others. As Jody may have shared with you, or you saw when you registered, this is one of a three-part session. So as we end today's session, I will tell you about the other two and the dates for those, and hopefully you'll join us for those as well. So let's jump right in. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. You're probably wondering, who is Patrina Dixon? I am the founder and CEO of It's My Money. It is my trademark brand, but it's also my financial education company. So in addition to that, I'm a personal finance coach. I'm an international best-selling author. I've authored 2 books, and guess what the name of them are? It's My Money. The first one is for ages 13 to 18, and volume 2 is for ages 18 to 25. I'm also an international speaker. I have traveled across the world teaching personal finance. My furthest place is Trinidad and Tobago. And in the US, I've traveled across many states and in many different venues. So I've done libraries, all types of libraries in 2021, all through the Zoom like we're doing here today, but I've also gone to prisons, detention homes, YWCAs, Boys and Girls Club, AARP, Chase, all kinds of places teaching personal finance. One of the other things I do is I have a podcast. So sometimes people can't or may not be able to work with me directly due to monetary reasons. So they can get financial information from me by listening to my podcast. I bring on various different guests, and we talk through the victories and the journeys and the trials that they have overcome to get to their finances to a different place. The whole purpose of that show is for the listener to hear different things that can happen with their money from a positive perspective from regular everyday people. And hopefully it's encouragement that you can do it too. And then lastly, 2 of my favorite roles is being a wife and a mom. I call them my whys, why I do everything I do. So for being the wife, I have a very supportive husband, and he supports all of what I do. And together we are building wealth through money management. And then a mom, my daughter, like I can't even say any more words about her. Her picture, I'm pointing over here in my office because her picture is there. Anytime I get to the point where I don't want to go any further or it's getting a little bit tough, I always look over there to remind me of why I'm doing what I do. And what I mean by that is ensuring that I am persevering through things and letting her know when she puts her mind to it, her money mindset, right? She can accomplish whatever she wants. So that's a little bit into who I am. And the reason why I do personal finance is because I struggled with finances, not because I didn't have enough money. What I struggled with was my mindset around money. And when I learned how to do it differently, when I say do it, manage my money right, I learned the financial fundamentals of money management. I wanted to go out and share that with everybody. So then I got all of the appropriate certifications, classifications, et cetera, so that I can do that. And I've been doing that now in March will be 6 years. So that's who I am. And let me just jump right in. So our topics that we're going to cover under saving and budgeting is, why is it important to save? Different types of savings accounts, simple and compound interest. I love interest, that's free money. And then I'll show you a quick savings grid. And then one of my absolute favorites about financial management and money, getting your money right, is budgeting. And I'm going to take you through different components of budgeting. What is a budget? Needs versus want, budget envelopes, and then budgeting tips and apps. At the bottom of my screen, each page, you're going to see ItsMyMoneyJournal.info. So Ellen may drop that in the comments for you or the chat. I can't see the chat right now, but if she doesn't know, it's at it's bottom of every page. The reason why I'm pointing that out, because I'm going to be pouring a lot into you. Hopefully you're taking some notes or retaining what I'm sharing, but anytime you want to take a look at other things that I have going on, make sure you go to that website, because I try to do my due diligence to ensure that that website is populated with a lot of information that can help you. So why is it important to save? So I want you in the chat, or again, because we're small and intimate, you can come off mute. Why do you think it's important to save? Like, why do you think that's a topic that we wanted to start with? You drop it in the chat, or you can come off mute and tell me. I'm going to try to look at the chat. Emergencies. That's a great one. Anybody else? So Kasha says emergencies. Retirement, another really good one. Anybody else? I see Jody, you look like you're about to type something. Okay, unexpected job loss, absolutely. So those are three great ones. Now you had three different people typing three different things. What does that tell you? That tells you everybody has a different reason why they're saving money, or why they want to save money, or why they think they should save money. All the ones that are here, emergencies, retirement, unexpected job loss, those are great ones to ensure that you have a nest egg or savings set up for any of these situations to happen. So we're going to get into how best to do that and where best to do that next. All right, hold on, let me close the chat. Okay, so savings right now, as you saw per your what everybody said, emergencies, retirement, job loss. Emergencies, you don't plan for those, right? Meaning you're not going to say, I'm about to go out here and roll over something to bust my tire. I'm not going to, and this is a true story from my husband and I, I'm not going to have, today is the day I'm going to, my boiler is going to blow. Like, those are things you do not plan for. So that's why a saving, the first bullet says a must. You must have some money saved, so that when life happens, whatever that may be, somebody hospitalized unexpectedly, you have a portion you need to pay, your boiler, I don't know, somebody hit your car, even if you have car insurance, you may have a deductible. So that's why I have it here defined as a must. You must have savings. So how much you save is going to be determined on your own personal situation. Personal finance is just that, it's personal. So what Kasha may save may be different from Ellen, maybe different from Lynn, maybe different from Jody. So the importance is you must save. How much you save, where, how, and how often, we'll talk about in a little while. And it actually is really easy to do. When I started my business, like I said, almost 6 years ago, I started working a lot one-on-one with individuals. And one of the things that people will walk into the door, into my office, they would say, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I don't have any money to save. I don't want to talk about saving. Just help me with not living paycheck to paycheck. But lo and behold, when people actually sat down and actually took time, had what I call the money meeting or the budgeting session, they actually had more money than they knew, because they were planning out their spending versus trying to find money to save after they spent their money. So that's why the importance of the budgeting is very important, and saving will be a line item within your budget. But it's really easy to do once you change your mind to say, I need to do it, and I'm going to incorporate it into my budget. And right now, don't think about the how much yet. We'll talk about that in a second. Then the next thing is important to know is you want to get the highest interest that you can. So I'm going to talk through with you on another page about where you can find the highest interest on saving. So interest is the money that the bank gives you for having your money saved in their institution. So that's really what high interest saving is. I'm trying to look at the chat. Home purchase. Yep, that's another good one as well. So on this screen, you'll see, 9 blocks. At the top are 3 of my favorite online only savings accounts. So I want to make sure that I clarify what these are. These are not banks that you would walk into, one down the street in your grocery store or something like that, that also has online capabilities. These are online only savings accounts. These do not have brick and mortars that you walk inside of. Because of that, they're able to do no fees. They're able to have higher interest than your regular brick and mortar bank. So American Express Savings, Capital One 360 Performance, and Ally. Those are 3 of my favorite online only savings accounts. Now, at the bottom of this screen, you should see, it's in black letters, but hopefully you can see it. Or Ellen, if you can put this in the chat, nerdwallet.com and bankrate.com are both websites that are 2 different websites that you can compare online savings accounts to. So you can go on either one of these websites, and then you can compare online savings accounts. These are 3 of my favorite, but these are not the only ones. So you can go on there and determine which savings account you want. Now, what do you look for in an online savings account is the question that I normally get. What you want to make sure of, are there no fees or very low fees, that the one that has the highest interest, which allows you to make the most money on your money being in the bank. You need to understand the process for transferring the money back into your other savings account, or your other checking account. So online savings, you can't walk into the place and get the money. So you have to connect it to another account. So usually that account is at a different institution. So you have to make sure that you have a checking account to attach it to, and that's how you put money in or take money out. Or if you work for an employer, you can have money directly deposited into the savings account, which I encourage, but you still would need that checking account to transfer money from the online savings into the checking account. So let me just stop there, because I know that was a lot that I just said. I'm trying to, Ellen, if there's questions in the chat, just let me know. I don't know if that's you putting stuff in the chat or there's a question. So online only savings is the ideal place to have your emergency fund, the fund for, different for retirement. I would say retirement has a different angle because I would encourage other types of savings for that. But for your emergencies, saving for a house, somebody said job loss, those types of reasons to save, you can use an online savings account for those savings. Now, the next best thing is credit unions. And then lastly would be your commercial banks. But I encourage online savings. And again, if you go to nerdwallet.com or bankrate.com, it will give you the varying list of online only savings accounts. Anywhere you have your money, you want to make sure that it's FDIC insured. Why that's important? Because the every eligible account in a particular bank is guaranteed or insured for up to $250,000. So if the bank blows up, goes away, goes out of business, whatever, your money is secured for up to $250,000 for an eligible account there. Now, what if you have $260,000? Hopefully your answer is, I'm going to put that other 10,000 into another bank. That's what you want to do. And if you have that problem, that's a good problem to have. So make sure that you know that the guarantee is up to $250,000. And I would encourage you, if that is a problem that you have that next, any overage into another account in another bank, not another account in that same bank, another account in another bank. Okay. All right. So now I want to talk about simple versus compound interest. At the bottom of this slide, you see in big letters, free money. I love free money. So interest is what the bank gives you for keeping your money in the bank. So if you put your money, you get paid Friday and you put your money in the bank, and then Saturday you take it out, Monday you take out some more, Wednesday you take out some more, you're not going to really get much. So first of all, let me step back. The interest that you get is not like grand. It's not like 50% of the money that you have in there. So the interest rate varies depending on the bank you choose, but the bank gives you money for keeping your money in the bank. So you can't have money, put money in there or have money deposited by your employer in there on Friday, then take it out on Saturday, the rest out on Monday and Wednesday, and then expect the bank to give you money. The interest that they give you is based on the length of time that the money is in the bank. So and it's based on the original amount that you put into the bank. So if you put 100 in the bank, depending on the rate of interest for that particular account in that institution, will determine how much they will give you at the end of the month. So that's just simple interest. You put in 100, let's just say it's 10%, then you will get $10. There's no bank with 10%. If either of you find one, let me know what that one is, because I don't know of any bank that gives you 10% interest on a savings account. But if you find one, make sure you let me know that. So for easy math, let's just say that is the case. Put 100 in, the bank gives you 10, month one. Month two, you keep that 100 in, plus what they gave you, which is 10, so that's 110. Now what the bank is going to do, they're going to give you simple interest on 110. Now, mind you, you didn't put any more money in the bank, you just put that 100. They're going to give you simple interest on 110, because now that is your balance with what you put in plus what they gave you. So you're gonna keep getting that $10 on the amount of money that you put in. Now, compound interest, which can be done quarterly, can be done annually, is based on the original amount plus all the tens that they gave you every month. So now if you have, what is that, $120 on top of your 100, so you have 220. Now when they allocate the amount of interest you get for that year, they're doing that on the money you put in plus the money that they gave you. So that's why when you think about savings accounts, think about long term. Do not think about savings account like you would a checking account. Most times I like to define checking accounts as operating accounts. So you put money in to pay your bills, write checks or whatever you do, or do it online. That's a go in, go out account. Checking accounts don't garnish you interest or gain you interest like savings accounts do. So savings accounts are used for defined purposes. It's for emergencies. It's for higher education. It's for, what was the other thing that was said there? Could be used for retirement, could be used for buying a home. That's how you have to think about these savings accounts that earn simple and compound interest, which is free money for longer term situations or emergency situations. Everybody tracking with that? Yes, I'm looking at the faces. I see thumbs up. Great. So here's a little bit of a comparison. Now, I know this is being recorded. It's true, but I don't want to feel like I'm bashing commercial banks, but I'm just telling you what it is, right? So as I told you, the American Express Savings, Capital One 360 Performance, and Ally, they don't have like 10% interest, but they have greater interest than the ones you see at the below. So these are what they are. And I just want you to know that that's the case. So if you have a checking account in one of the banks at the bottom in green, great. If you have a savings account at one of those as well, great. But what I want you to do is to consider also having a savings account at one of the three at the top here, or go onto one of those two websites and choose one that works best for you, and have another savings account for the things that we talked about before. And let me tell you why it's a good idea to do that. In order to get your money out of the savings accounts, like the ones at the top in blue, it takes about 24 to 48 hours for the money to be transferred. So you go in, you make a transaction online, transfer $200 to my Bank of America account. It takes about 24 to 48 hours. What that allows for is delayed gratification. Are you taking it out to satisfy an immediate need? You want to go shopping? You want to go somewhere with one of your pals? Or do you really need to withdraw money from that account that you're saving for something long-term? It allows you to think about that as you wait for the money to come in. So it doesn't mean that you can't have the savings account at Bank of America or Webster or the other here that you get in, that's where you can go and take out on a regular basis. These other accounts is for you to have the money in there for a long time, gain the free money that the bank is giving you, and use it for those things that you talked about earlier. Is there an emergency? Are you ready to buy your home? If you're in the retirement phase, you know, you need to take some out because you have saved in there for now you're in retirement and you need it for the lifestyle that you want to live. That is not for, I got paid and I want to go shopping, I want to buy a shirt or whatever. That's not what the ideal situation is for you to save money in those accounts. Now, the very best way to do this is, especially if you have an employer, go to your employer, HR, or go online if they have it. Wherever you have your paycheck directly deposited, usually there's an option where you give them an account number for a totally different account. And let's just say it's one of these three up here. You would establish the account, you know, open it, you know, online, put whatever amount of money you're putting in there. And then going forward, you can tell your employer, put $20 a month in there, put $20 a paycheck in there, whatever it is that you want to do. This way, I call it the automated and forget about it. Because when you have it directly deposited in there, it's like the tax, your own personal tax. You're paying yourself first. If you follow me online, you see me talk about that a lot. Pay yourself first. So this is defining an amount off the top that your employer puts directly into one of these accounts, so it doesn't go into your checking account and then you have to make a decision on, I'm not going to put any in the savings today. So this way it goes directly in there and you have access to it whenever you want it. Jody, do you have a question or comment?
We have an attendee, one of the people watching has a question. Is there a benefit if you have a charge account with, say, Capital One or American Express, and then you open a savings account? Is there a benefit there? It's in the chat if you're able to see that.
Yeah, no, there is. It's not like if you have like, I'll use myself. I have a Capital One credit card and I have a online savings account, Capital One 360 Performance. I don't get any different advantage because I have that. They're not going to give me more interest. But what's nice about it is when I go into my Capital One app, I can see all the relationships I have with Capital One within my application, and I can transfer within if I wanted to do that. So you have the accounts are connected, but you don't gain on the credit card side for having a savings account there, and you don't gain on the savings account side for having the credit card. But the thing I'll add is when you have what I like to use the word thicker, stronger, deeper relationship with any of these, the better for you when you need to get like a loan for a car or a home or anything like that. So if you are a customer and you've been a customer for some time and you got different products of theirs, savings account, credit card, that's a better thing for you from that perspective, but not from a interest in their saving account perspective or a better rate on your credit card perspective. That you won't gain, but you could gain a better advantage on a loan from that particular entity because you have a deep relationship with them. Does that help? Okay, great. So the other thing I get, remembering that I work with a lot, varying different people, some make a ton of money, some that may not. And if somebody is not saving today, What I encourage them to do is start small. Oftentimes people come to me, all right, I'm going to go cold turkey. I'm not going to shop anymore. I'm not going to go to Starbucks or whatever. And I'm going to save $200 every paycheck. Now, if you've never done that before, as your finance coach for at least 3 sessions, possibly, not encouraging you to do that. You want to know why? Because you're going to say, and the reason why I know this happens, because it was me, like my true story. I started saving and I'm like, I'm not going to, go have this coffee. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put $200 every paycheck. And then once I got paid, I'm like, nobody's going to tell me I can't, because I was following somebody else at the time, that I can't spend my own money. Even though I put the money in a savings account, I was taking it right out. I didn't know about online savings accounts at the time, because this was many years ago now, but I started too big because I wasn't doing it at all. So what I encourage you to do is start small. Because people will say, well, $520 for a year, that's no money. But if you have 0 in savings right now, that's a lot of money. So I encourage you to start with 10. And as you can see through this very simple illustration, 10 will get you 520 at the end of 52 weeks, which is the number of weeks in a year. And this doesn't account for interest, right? So just say you have it in an online account that has 0.50 interest, you would have to add that, and that will be added to this account. Now, if you're able to save 10 for 3 of your paychecks without disrupting your budget, then change it to 15 or change it to 20. You can change that number at your employer as often as you like. So what the key here is, change something that you can do that's not going to disrupt you being able to pay your regular bills. And when you start small and graduate, like the trajectories that way, that's a wonderful thing. But starting here and then going this way is not what I want you to do. So if you decide that you want to open a savings account at one of the online places that I talked to you about, I encourage you to deposit small and then increase that money as you go along. I always say at least 3 paychecks, which is like, if you get paid every 2 weeks, a month and a half. If you get paid weekly, then wait that whole month and then try. And again, like I said, increase it as you go along.
Patrina, do people sometimes just have it automatically from a local bank account to the cloud? Like it could be set up that way also?
Yes, certainly. You can do that as well. The reason why I usually encourage have the employer do it. So the employer can go into your checking account, into your savings account. That's also the same bank as the checking account. And then the third deposit can be into the online savings. If you do it the way that you described, you certainly can do that. The thing is, you have to take that action. So the way that I told you before eliminates you from thinking, not this week, not this paycheck. I want to go to a party. I got somebody's wedding, or I got to get my hair done, whatever. So when it doesn't go into your main checking account, you really don't think about it. It's just like if your taxes were to increase, there's nothing you can do. Whatever goes into the checking account does. So that's how you have to think about it. I'm paying myself off the top. Even if that paying yourself is $10, it's more than you were before. So again, start small and increase it based on budgeting. And we're going to cover budgeting in a little while. But Jody, certainly, if that's the way you prefer, you can certainly do it. Just know that you would have to be conscious of the fact that you have to make that action to deposit it, to transfer it over to the online savings account.
I was just thinking there was a way to set it to do it itself every month automatically without touching it every month. But you're right. Okay. It's probably more efficient to have it go from the payroll company, because then you can't undo it as easily.
You're right. You're absolutely right. So I encourage, so number one encouragement is that. Now, depending on the bank that you have, there may be the ability to do that. I'm not sure, so I don't want to speak on that. I know that banks allow for bill pay. I don't know if they automatic deposit into another account. So you would need to check with your banking institution if that's a possibility. Now, I know that all banks, the majority of the commercial banks will allow you to transfer into these online banks. I just don't know if there's an automated way or a timetable you can set, or a date or something like that. Okay. I have to remember to look straight. You guys are like on the side, your photos on the side, so I keep turning over here. So I got to be conscious of that. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is budgeting. Now, this is something that people have a hard time with. Is it because it's hard? Nah, people don't like the word. Budgeting is restrictive. It's telling me I can't do what I want to do. I can't spend what I want to spend. I'm grown. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. Budget is absolutely not that. Budget is planning out your spending so you're more empowered to spend what you want. But you have to understand what's coming in and what you're planning for it to go out, and then write down what you actually did. Because sometimes you plan for stuff and then life happens and it doesn't go that way. So I want you, if you are a person that are not budgeting because you don't like the word and it feels restrictive, it feels like somebody's telling you what to do, call it your spending plan. Call it your money meeting. What I ask of you is just do the exercise every time you get an income. So if you're an entrepreneur, you get income at different times. Whenever you get income in, you should relook at your budget. If you get paid on a biweekly basis or a weekly basis from an employer, every time you get paid. This will be the best 15 to 20 minutes that you can do for your money ever. It really is not difficult. There's a bunch of tools out there, and we'll talk about that in a little while. So it's 3 steps. Forget the word. If the word is hanging you up, call it whatever you want to call it. The Jody meeting, call it the money meeting, call it the It's My Money meeting, call it whatever you want. So the first thing is write down the income. The second is write down the expenses or the money you're going to spend. And the third, which is very important, write down what you actually did. Now, this is a follow-up one. The 1 and 2 is before, and then 3, you'll have to follow back up with it. And I'll tell you why that's important in a little while. 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2 is done on payday. 3 is done after you actually spent. Okay, let's go into this a little while. Your budget should be categorized where you have needs versus wants. So you got to determine what your needs are, because my needs are different than your needs, and Jody's is different from Ellen's. Everybody's needs are different. Personal finance is personal to you. So what you make and what you spend is completely different. Even if you work for the same employer, you may make the same, you may bring home different money, and then you may have different expenses than the next person. So you have to determine your needs and then your wants. And your needs need to be the first items on your budget sheet. And I'm going to show you a budget sheet in a moment. And then your wants, if you can do them, comes later. So they'll be at the bottom. If you have a car, don't just put your car payment. That baby needs to have gas if you're going to drive it, right? Or if you have an electric car, maybe that's a different thing. But oftentimes people will create their budget. They'll be sure to put that car payment because that's a larger bill for them. But if you are putting gas in it, remember that's something you're spending. Ensure that you put the gas on there as well for the car. I wanted to make sure that I say that because people forget that. And then we're going to talk about budgeting a little more. So another breakdown that people use is it's called in the industry 50-30-20 rule. I put it up on the page because people always ask the question. This is what I'm going to say to you about this. If you can structure your money this way, great. But if you put 30% on your needs and wants, and you really need 70% on your needs, then you're messing up. You need to take care of your needs first, and your wants can be minimized. I like to put the savings on top. Even before I pay my bills, my money is going into savings. I work for an employer as well. And when my money, the amount that I've allocated for my online savings account, that goes already. So for me, I feel like I have a net. And what I mean by that is, you have a gross pay and you have things come out, then there's a net pay. But my net is a little bit smaller than what the net would be because I put some of it by way of that transaction that I have the employer do to put right into my online savings. So it's still a part of my net income, but I make it go in another place. So I have it by percentage versus a certain dollar amount, but my company also lets you put a dollar amount. So you can say $20 or $10 as opposed to 10% if you like. So again, this is industry. 50 on needs, 30 on wants, 20 on savings. If your personal expenses and income does not allow for this structure, don't try to fit in this if you can't. If you can, great. If you can't, Do not pay your rent because you already got into 50% on your other needs. Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at. So now let's look at an actual budget. This particular budget was actually for a client that I had. And we're going to talk about the right and the left side of this. So this is for illustration purposes through presentation. I've done it in this way, but this was more of a meeting with her. So she brings home, her net pay is $1,000. She came in as, I have no money. Like every time I get paid, I don't have enough to pay my bills, all of this stuff. So I said, well, let's sit down. And I gave her a piece of paper that looks like this, and she filled in the left side. So she first filled in she wrote in the various different things that she does. I typed it up here for you. But then she wrote in the dollar amounts that she plans to spend on all the things that she told me she does with her paycheck. So I'm just pause here so you can take a look at it. And then even with what she wrote, she had $320 left out of that paycheck. Now, remember, she came in, I don't have any money. I don't know what's going. The reason why she didn't know, because she was just swiping. And then once it was done, it was done. She had no idea what she had done. But by way of her own sitting down for 15 minutes, kind of thinking about what she would normally do with her paycheck, she was the one who wrote, that's how much she had left from that particular paycheck. Now, some of the moments was her religion calls for her paying tithes, and that's 10% of her income. She was not doing that. She had no money for savings. And then you see the various different things that she had, even though she had $300 left over. Now let's look at what I suggested she do for each of these. Now look at the right-hand side of the column. Did she not do any of the things she would normally do? She did everything, including savings, including tithes, and still had money left over. This is a famous one with the credit card bill. I'm paying on the credit card bill. I'm paying on the cell phone bill. Why not pay the whole amount? You have enough to do so. What I'm hoping you take from this illustration is, instead of just going blind and nilly-willy and sliding your card and hoping it doesn't decline, sit down with your money when you get paid. You have to write down your expenses because they may not be the same as this person. And then write down what you plan to spend in each of those columns. And if there's no more left, there's no more left. So if you have to take shopping off from that particular paycheck, you do that. But once you've paid the cell phone, you don't have to pay the cell phone the next paycheck. So maybe then you can go shopping. So I've structured a budget sheet on my website. You can go to my website. I told you what that is. Ellen may put it in there for you. ItsMyMoneyJournal.info. On my resource page, you can pull down as many free budget sheets as you want. Print it out. If you've never budgeted, I encourage you to print and write. Do not try to do it via app. Print and write and become intimate with your money. Know what you have coming in and going out. Do that process for at least 3 months. Once you've gotten to a great place in understanding of that, then you can graduate to an app. But if you are similar to this person where you are assuming you don't have enough for everything, now I'm not saying that cannot be the case. I'm saying first start with, let me put it on paper and see what it's saying. On my website, I do have a bi-weekly budget sheet. And what I encourage you to do, if you use that one, is write in using due dates. When is my light bill due? When is my gas bill due? When is my car payment due? So then you'll know which paycheck to pay which item out of, and you'll know how much money you have left over for your wants. The other thing some clients do, they pay this is what they say. And I don't know if this is anybody on this call. I'm paying everything out of my first paycheck, so my second paycheck of the month can be my free one. When people do that, they then revert to using credit cards because they've run out of cash because they paid for stuff that wasn't even due yet. I'm not a fan of that unless you have enough money to make that happen, because I don't want you to use credit because you ran out of money. There is a way to use credit responsibly, which will be our next session. But You don't have to pay your rent, cell phone, car phone bill, insurance, everything. And some things are due the 1st of the month and some things are due on the 20th, because you'll get another paycheck before the 20th. But this is why planning out what you have to do is important, because you may go and try to pay everything and you forgot you have to buy a wedding gift. You have to buy a retirement gift, whatever that is. You may cripple yourself from doing that if you try to pay for everything out the first paycheck and have what you're going to call a free paycheck on the other. Everybody tracking with what I'm saying? So you want to look at your due dates of your bills and put them on your budget. So you get paid twice, maybe let's just say the 1st of the month and the 15th of the month. You want to put on your budget sheet, and it'll be clearer to you when you look at the budget sheet I'm talking about. You want to list out your expenses like it is here, aligned to the paycheck. So this one is $1,000 on the 1st, and this person gets $1,000 on the 15th. So you want to write out which ones are you going to pay out on the check that you get on the 1st, and which ones you're going to pay out on the checks you get on the 15th. And then you begin to plan or budget what you're going to pay out. And always remember, this either has to have 0 or money in it. You can't have a negative number of how much money you have left. So you may need to jerry rig the numbers, meaning pay less for something, eat less out if that's your thing on this particular paycheck, because this is where the rent was. This is where the car payment was. And then when you begin to do this process regularly, you will have a better sense of how much you have left over based on your bills. Any questions on that? Because I know that was a lot. No? Okay.
There is a question in the chat. What about wild seasonal swings like in gas and electric? Like, how do we plan for that?
You can't, which is why you need money saved, right? You can't,
Right.
you can't, this is a saying that can be used for money and everything. Control the controllable. You can't plan for stuff that you have no control over. What you need to do is ensure that you are set up by having money saved in the bank. And then one of our sessions will be about earning additional money, is ensuring that you understand what you have coming in and understand what you have going out. So if you like to go out to eat, I don't want you to not go out to eat, but you may not be able to go out to eat 5 nights a week, maybe 2. And when you start to do that, it'll feel like a treat versus, you just call a place every day and get food. Maybe you say, okay, because I had to pay more in gas since that came up, I'm only going to, don't say I can't, don't say that. I'm going to eat out 2 days this week and define when those days are. Do not make the process, do not have negative words tied to the budgeting process. So I'm going to eat out 2 days. I'm going to eat out Wednesday and Friday. Maybe I'll call my girlfriend, see if she wants to go. You make it seem like you're doing exactly what you want to do because you're empowered by what you actually can do. That's what the budgeting does. It allows you to know what you're able to do based on the money that you have. Don't try to live, the term live like the Joneses. So maybe the Jones are really about to go bankrupt. You don't know, right? Because you're just seeing what they're doing. They may not have their money managed, right? So don't try to do that. It's personal. Even if you work at the same place, drive the same car, how much you pay for the car may be completely different depending on credit. So don't just stay in the lane of your budgeting and make sure you're writing it down. And this is a sample of one of the budget sheets that's available on my site. As I mentioned, because a lot of clients ask me, well, can you break it down? I don't want to do it for the whole month. So I created one for 2 paychecks in a month. So there's different styles out there for you. So if you go to my website on the resource tab, again, you can print out, make copies, do anything, print those out so that you can use it. On there, there's a debt tracker as well. So the debt tracker helps you to organize the various different bills so that you can put them on the budget sheet. So feel free to use that as well. So what the biggest takeaway that I want you to have on budgeting is, it is a process that gives you the power to spend what you want when you know you can. That's what I want you to take away with. If the word bothers you, use money meeting, use a spending plan. Do not use negative words tied to the process. It's not, I can't eat out today because my budget doesn't allow me. It's like, I'm going to eat out Tuesday and Wednesday. You don't even have to give yourself the reason why. You just know that's when you're doing it because you know how much it costs and you know what you have in that line item. And lastly, do not completely remove anything you enjoy doing. If you enjoy going to Starbucks, if you enjoy going out to eat, make sure you have a defined line item for that. Meaning put in there, going to Starbucks, going out to eat at Joe's, whatever it's called, and then define the amount that you're going to spend on that. And once that number has been exhausted, that's it, to the next paycheck. Don't cut it out, because if you cut it out, I am here to tell you, because true story for me and many clients that I've worked with, you're going to say, I'm not doing this thing anymore because I can't do the stuff I enjoy. I work really hard. The only thing I want is a nice cup of coffee. And Patrina said, I can't get it because it's not in my budget. No. Patrina says, put that coffee line item in your budget. Just make sure it's appropriately, the appropriate number is there based on how much money that you actually bring in.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So again, you can budget sheet like this, or there's two paycheck a month. If you are a person that gets paid weekly, so obviously you can either use the monthly or the biweekly one, you would need two, so you can map out all 4 of your paychecks. And like, say you're going on vacation, right? You say you're already spending saving for your vacation. You want to make sure you include in your budget that, if you're buying anything associated with that, you're going to put it right in the paycheck. So paycheck 1st and 15th, 1st and 15th for 2 months. Okay, I'm going on vacation in June. Let me just map out where I'm going to do these various different things, so none of my bills go awry because I'm going on vacation. So it's a plan that doesn't have to be by pay each time you get paid only. You can look at the whole month by having 2 of the budget sheets in front of you. Okay, I'm going to a wedding. The wedding is here. I'm gonna buy the gift out of this paycheck because I'm paying my rent over here. So that's what it'll allow you to do, to have it right in front of you. I'm telling you, 15, maybe 20 minutes each time you get paid. Aren't you worth that? Aren't you worth knowing what you got coming in and what you plan to spend out? And then you want to take a couple minutes, say you did this on Friday, maybe like Tuesday, go back, write down what you actually did. The reason why that is important is because, let's say you planned, somebody said gas. Say you have planned $60 for your gas, right? Like I may have had on one of my sheets. I spent $72 on gas. So I have to go and adjust that number and put 72. Otherwise, what I have at the bottom for money left over is not right anymore, because I spent $12 more on that. Take a guess. I was annoyed, but it was the real number. So now if I did have coffee on there or eating out, now I'm going to have to take $12. Maybe I'm just using that category out of that category if I had a 0 as my balance at the bottom. Okay. So that's how you have to think about it. So whoever asked me about gas, if that gas was a little bit higher than anticipated in your original budget for that week, so put that actual amount that you spent, and then that whatever that variance is or that overage, go and find out on your want side what you can change to account for that. Okay. Any questions on that?
Okay.
Try to be mindful of time here. I love talking about this, so you have to make sure you watch me on time. We have about 10 minutes. So another tried and true way are budgeted envelopes. This is another way that you can try. It's not for everybody. This is literally for the cash spender. So the way that this is used best is for those things that I call your Achilles heel. So going out to eat, that coffee, for my daughter, it was this place called Minchie's that was ice cream that she liked. So what you would do, you would still write this item in your budget. Let's just call it Starbucks for the purpose of this discussion, Starbucks. And let's say you put $30 into this envelope. You put the $30 into the envelope, you put Starbucks. You then write every time you go to Starbucks how much you spent. Spend from Starbucks out of this envelope, not credit card, not debit card, just out of this envelope. Once it's gone, because you've allocated that amount within your budget and you literally took the cash out and put it in here, that helps to keep you true to your budget. You You only spend from that, but you're still getting the Starbucks. Once the $30 or whatever amount you put in there for whichever category has exhausted, then you don't have any more of that item until you get paid again. Look at your budget to see how much you've allocated for it and put it in there. That way, again, it's a additional step if you feel you need it, because that one is a hard thing to minimize on. So that's how you have to think about. I say the Achilles heel for me, that was Starbucks coffee. I mean, I used to drink 4 cups a day, 7 days a week. I was a single mom with my daughter playing basketball and volleyball, all the stuff. We were always at practices, and we literally lived in Starbucks. We were there every day. And throughout the day, I would go sometimes in my pajamas to Starbucks. And then I was that person, like, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money to save. Why are everybody telling me to save? Because Starbucks was getting all my money. Now I drink coffee at home. And that was even before Keurig, which I have now. Make my coffee at home. I could put whatever flavored cream in it. And then when I do go to Starbucks, maybe once a week, maybe every 2 weeks, it's a whole treat now, as opposed to the regular $2.54 I was spending every time I went. So if you think about $2.54 times 4 times 7 times 52, that was a lot of money that I was spending there. A lot of money. So think about that at whatever item that you think is causing you to say, I don't have enough to save. And then soon you'll start to put that money that you were spending, I'll use the word frivolously, on some item, that becomes the savings that you're able to increase. Start at 10 and then able to increase by the decreasing of an expense that may not be needed as often as it is today. Okay. All right. So again, I went over this already, but quickly define, if you want to use budget envelopes, define the category, define an amount, make sure that amount is in your budget envelope, take the cash out of the bank and put it into the envelope. Once the cash is exhausted, do not replenish the cash until you get paid again, and make sure you use the amount that you have written on your budget sheet to go into the envelope if you choose to use this method. This is a tried and true method. This is one that I used years ago. That was somebody else's process that I went through. Now I have budgeted envelopes. It's my money budgeted envelope. So you can find that on my site as well. Now, if you want to use apps, again, I do not encourage the use of apps for budgeting if you have never budgeted before. I encourage you to start off with pen and paper, which allows for the more intimate relationship with your money. Once you get very intimate with your money, you can graduate to an app. These are 2 great apps that I have on the page. There are tons of them. These are 2 that I put out here. The Mint is the mothership, right? That one's been around forever, can do a lot, connect to a whole bunch. But that's why I don't think you should start that way, because it kind of takes away the work for you, which doesn't really get you ingrained and shift the mindset of how to do the process if the app is doing everything for you. But a budget is one that's a little like manual, because you have to manually put the numbers in and then tell it what you did, but it's still an app, right? When you sit down and write it out, change the numbers, and you have your pen and paper and changing it, this process becomes something that is not you own it. That's basically what I'll say. You own it, and you will begin to have more familiarity with what you have coming in and what you really have going out, not what you guess you have going out. Okay.
Patrina, there's a question
Yes.
in the chat about the safety of using apps with your money.
Yeah.
Can you see it, or I can read it to you?
I can.
It says,
yeah, if you can read it, that'd be great.
is it safe to use apps with your money? What about the issue of security? Don't they make you vulnerable to cybercrime?
So this, I'll answer it. I have an app for everything. I'll tell you that. So fintech is the way of what we're in right now. Almost everything you can do via app. Everything is digital. There's a lot of transfer of funds through apps. I use apps every day. I have a lot of stuff connected for my personal and for my business. Is there an opportunity for something to be compromised? Absolutely. So you have to be comfortable with the fact that that's a possibility. But I will tell you this, and I traveled the world for AARP and Chase, talking to mature adults about this same topic, is these banking institutions, familiar ones, do as their due diligence to ensure the safety of the content. So not just the money, but the contents of the individual account holders, their data within their tools. So I would just tell you, I wouldn't go and get backwater site and try to, get have a banking relationship with somebody that you don't know, they're not FDI insured or anything like that. But if you're using banks that are FDI insured, that have familiar, names, and you can find them on those sites that I gave you, nerdwallet.com, bankrate.com, the chances of things like that happening, meaning your money compromised, is lessened and lessened and lessened, because they spend a lot of money ensuring that doesn't happen. Because if you think about it, when there's a compromise like that, what do you think will happen? All of their customers will take their money and go. So that's why they do their due diligence by ensuring that they are doing the best they can with, all the algorithms and the security to ensure that you are not compromised and you don't lose money having your money within their institution. But I am going to say there is no guarantee that it will not happen. So you do have to have a comfort level with that. Hopefully that helps.
Do you use a VPN in order to sort of scramble where you're coming from?
I personally, I do not. No.
Right. I have friends and family who do. So I'm just wondering, for the people who are concerned, we're all concerned about apps at times, obviously, but that is an extra layer that may give comfort for some people to do that. One of my sons, every device he has his VPN.
Yep. And so there are various different measures you can take to have security levels security levels, but know that, these institutions do not want anything like that to happen, because people will flee and they make money off of people having accounts at their bank. So again, I would go with trusted. I would do your research. I've known of situations more on the credit side than the bank side where those companies have been compromised by data, not so much money being lost, but data, unfortunately being shared. I even know Target had a similar situation. So that kind of stuff, there's a possibility. So do know that, be cautious, do not share your passwords with anyone. And this is another important thing. If you're budgeting, you probably will be doing this at least every time you get paid. Look at your accounts, look at your statements online or the paper ones, whichever one you have. If you notice suspicious activity, right away, do something about it. But if you're not regularly looking at your money, then there may be something you miss or you don't see for a longer period of time.
Right. I don't know about everyone else, but on social media, there have been many reminders to check how many subscriptions you have going, that maybe you signed up for things you no longer even use. And I went through and checked it out and just reduced my budget.
Truebill. You're talking about Truebill, right?
That might have been what it was.
Yeah, Truebill, I know how that. Yeah,
now
I want to be mindful of time because I want to make sure I answer any questions and do a quick recap. So I love this quote by Maya Angelou, the beloved Maya Angelou, and that is, when you know better, you do better. You being here it shows me, it tells me you want the information to try to do things differently. So hopefully that has happened by you coming here, that you walked away with something that you didn't know before that may be helpful for you for money management. The resources here, all of them are on my website. You just have to figure out which one you want. But the free budget sheets, if you go to my website to the resource page, you can get any type of the free budget sheets that are there, or a debt tracker. If you are interested in a checklist about money management, you can either email my assistant, which is here, or if you go to the shop in my website, that you can get that document for free. We ended up putting it in the shop because she was getting so many emails, so she probably forgot to change it here. But you can go to the ItsMyMoneyJournal.info, my website, go to the shop. The checklist is free, so you can go and get that as well. That gives you 9 tips and 9 strategies for your money. And then I'm going to skip credit reports and go to online savings accounts. nerdwallet.com or bankrate.com compares various different online only savings accounts for you. It'll tell you the fees. It'll tell you if there's a minimum balance, it will tell you what that is, and it will tell you the interest rate. So I encourage you to check that out as well. So we do have 2 more sessions coming. I hope you enjoyed this one, and you will join us next week on March 1st for credit, using credit responsibly. And then on March 8th, side hustles and entrepreneurship. If you don't know what a side hustle is by definition, something you do on the side of your main income to bring additional dollars in. So we'll talk about that then. And sometimes people do that to offset what they make in their main income in order to pay off debt or put extra money in savings or do whatever it is that they prefer to do with their side hustle. Mm-hmm. And with that, here's my contact information. I will now take any questions you have on saving and budgeting. The key takeaways are there are various different ways why it's important to save. I encourage you to have an online only savings account and have money directly deposited into the account that you choose. With budgeting, my comment on that is if you're not doing it today, please start with the next paycheck after this session, and you can use whichever form that works best for you. If you need a document, you can go to my website to the resource page to grab it, or you can do pen and paper, do Excel. Just if you've never done it before, don't go to app first. Do that after you've had at least 3 paychecks doing it pen and paper. And with that, Jody, I'll turn it to you to let me know if there are any questions or where you want to go here next.
Does anyone have additional questions as far as any of the topics tonight, or questions about what's coming up in the next 2 workshops with Patrina?
I don't have a question. I just want to say I love the idea of the coffee, of how do you deal with Starbucks?
Yes.
And not breaking things out of your budget. I think that's really brilliant, because I think you just torpedo yourself when you think you can take the coffee. And I think of that because one of my kids, I'm trying to get him to cut down on the coffee, but he needs coffee, and it's like, it's got all these layers to it. And I'm like, no,
right.
You don't need a $4 or $5 cup of coffee every morning when you're a teacher.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to use that and take a different approach with them, saying, okay, maybe twice a week.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that will, hopefully it'll feel to him like I can still have it. And choose the days that he wants. Maybe Monday, because the weekend is a long weekend for him. He had a great weekend. Maybe Monday morning is the one he have it, and/or Wednesday or something like that.
Right. Yeah, I know for me, for convenience, when the pandemic hit, actually, I got a second credit card on my account, but with my teenager's name on it, because she started doing a lot of the grocery shopping. And I'm suddenly realizing she's not doing all that much of the grocery shopping anymore. But let me tell you, she likes those ready-made snacks and popcorn tofu at the co-op market nearby.
How about that?
Yeah, gotta love it. So yeah, that's a conversation to explain to her as I write this out, because I'm pretty good at writing the library's budget. And figuring out staying in that budget. But then personal life has been a winging it. I think most of us have always been winging it. Don't you think?
I listen, I'm telling you the reason why I do what I do, because I was winging it for many years of my life. And looking in, you would think I had everything under control. I had a home. My daughter went to parochial school for which I paid for. We had nice clothes. But if my employer didn't put one paycheck in, the whole thing would have crumbled. I didn't have money saved. I used credit cards. It was a mess. But when I got that right, now it's been many years. I started teaching it about 6 years ago, but it was many years ago since I've gotten my money to a different place. It was all about the mindset, the mind shift, and in appreciating delayed gratification and not needing to have immediate gratification. The first thing that came out, the newest thing that came out, I needed to have it. Like that is where I was. That's not where I am now. So regarding your daughter, I mean, I have to do this. I'd be remiss if I didn't do this. You know, I have 2 books you can get for the library that teaches young people about some of these tips that we just talked through. That's more in their speak. So, you know, you can, I'm not going to say you can buy it too if you want, but you can get it for the library and she can take that out. And
no, that's a good reminder, because we do try to keep things like that in the library for kids. So absolutely. We'll make sure they're available.
All right.
Thank you. And I hate to blame everything on her. Believe me, it's not all her.
It's easy. She's not here.
I know. I know.
Kasha, thank you so much for your feedback. I appreciate that. Any other, let's say, Patrina, tell us if we would like to unmute. Yep, you can unmute to ask questions if you like. I think somebody asked that early on. We are at time, but I can take another question or two. I just want to be mindful. When I have sessions like this, I want, because in case this time is like right after work. So if you are missing dinner and need to get to that with your family, but if there are any questions, I can take another one. I'm just trying to look to see if I can. All right. It doesn't seem like there are any more. I would love to see you all come back to session 2 and session 3. If you're unable to do so, I know Jody's having them recorded, and I guess she'll tell you all where the recordings will be in case you miss one. But I appreciate you for being here, spending this hour with us, and hopefully you walked away with more information on saving and budgeting, and look forward to getting together again. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.